Today is September 28th, 2025. I'm here at East Beaver Creek on Copco. Just to show you kind of what this whole area is looking like. That would be looking west, the direction which we just came from. Just kind of pan out and show you what this whole area is looking like. That's looking south, and that's looking more towards the town of Copco. It is smoky there. We are getting the smoke from the fire, the moon fire. It's over by Brookings in Oregon. So this is what East Beaver Creek is looking like. I'll kind of zoom in. You can see that they've been doing more activity lower in the creek bed. This is the upper creek bed, which we've been looking at before. Sorry, it's a little windy right now. I'm trying to block the wind. So you can see that they're definitely putting a lot of woody debris down in here. They've widened it. I don't know what you want to call the wood pieces that they're putting in the creek. Maybe an artificial dam with the wood pieces. You can see, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell how big of a drop that still is on the other side of the creek over there. I'm assuming that they're going to smooth that out more. But you can see the wood pieces that they're putting in the creek itself. It doesn't appear to be very wide down there, maybe a foot or two. It doesn't really look like it's flowing very much right now. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see that whole area. I'm not sure how wide they think this creek is going to be when we get the rains. I can hear the wires. I don't know if you can hear that in the camera, but I can hear the power lines making noise with the wind. You really can't see this part from the other side, but they definitely got a lot of woody debris going on down there in the bottom. Like I said, I don't think that this creek is well, I guess it's kind of a seasonal creek. It's still running right now. It has been one of our wettest springs in summer, so a lot of our springs are still running. So during high flows, I don't know how high they think this creek is going to get, but I don't think it's going to run as wide as they're thinking. It looks like they might have gotten down to about that where we can see right there. I'm trying to see if I can see anything on further down the creek. If there is, it's really hard to tell from here. But you can see where they've been depositing the sediment that they've been pulling out of Camp Creek is all the dark dirt that you see is what they've moved. I'm really trying to block the wind. I'm not sure if I am. Kind of trying to see. What they're doing down there. Sorry, I just kind of get sidetracked looking at everything through my camera and visually. So as I was saying, I'm not sure how wide they expect this creek to get during high flow. I don't believe it's going to get as wide as where they're putting all these trees. Like I said, from up here it only looks like it's maybe at the tops a couple feet wide, maybe a foot. I don't think it's very deep either. I'll kind of zoom in really close on the creek. Trying to go slow so you can see it. That looks like that's some standing water right next to it. The wind is definitely starting to pick up. So anyways, that's what this part of Beaver Creek is looking like. They're definitely making progress going down the creek. You can see over there where all the equipment is currently sitting. You can see it almost, I don't know if what they're doing on the sides of the banks over there where the lake bed is. But anyways, that's what it's looking like right here. I'm going to continue my way around. So I drove down the road just a little bit. I think this has a better perspective of what it's looking like as it's flowing out towards the Klamath River. So you can see all the woody debris, I think, better at this angle. Like I said, I'm not sure how wide they think that creek is going to run. But I hope this kind of gives you a better perspective. Like you can see the creek right there. It's not very wide and doesn't appear to be very deep. And like I said, from up here looks like no more than 2 feet across in some areas. I think some of the other wetness that you see is when they hit the bottom, the hard pan. The dirt is wetter underneath. So when they hit that hard pan or the bottom, that's where the water is. So I'm going to pause it and we're going to head on around the road. So we come up the creek just a little bit. I don't really think a whole lot has changed in this area. We still have all the wood pieces that are sunk into the ground. You can see all the wood pieces that they have in the creek and buried. And kind of what they're doing, you can see that piece that they've got going across the creek. Then I'll zoom over here. Sorry if I'm going too quick. So this is what it's looking like up the creek. I think we've seen most of this before. But that's kind of what it's looking like up towards the top of the creek. Like I said, I'm not sure how wide they think the floodplain is going to be through here. But that's what it's looking like right here. So I'm going to pause it and we'll head up the road. So as we're up here just kind of driving up, I've just kind of noticed something. So looks like they have that part of the creek barricaded off with a log. So one would question why they would create a little log dam right there. You know, during a high flow, it's probably going to divert around that log since it's impeding. So I'm kind of just curious to see what it does this winter if we do get any rains like we did last year. I just was throwing that out there as I'm observing what's being done here. You can see a little bit of greenery on down. I don't think much of this area has changed at all. We did just run into a gentleman though, and he said this winter with all the high flows, the widest that this creek got was maybe 4 feet. So that being said, I just don't know how much they think this creek is going to widen out even during high flows. Anyways, we're going to continue on around. So we've seen this area before. This is just above where I was just at. I don't think there's been much changes here. There could be some more of the bigger woody debris. But I think right now it would seem that they're concentrating on the lower stretch of the creek bed. But you can see that's the creek right there, and it's running fairly shallow. So anyways, when we get to the top of the culvert, I'll stop there and show you what that looks like. So this is what the top part of East Beaver Creek looks like that we can get to. It's got a little bigger pool here, but this is what the vegetation looks like. And the gentleman that we were talking to, we asked about beavers, and he said he has not seen any beavers up in this area, even up above this culvert, up higher on the hill. There is now a private property, no trespassing sign. But this is what it's looking like on top of the culvert. And as it is making its way down, and I'll show you what it looks like above. And this, I'm kind of curious, if we do get some rain tomorrow and the next day, this might be flowing a little bit better in a couple days, depending on what kind of rain that we get. I'm not sure if these branches were here the last time, but this is what it's looking like up the stream. So, looks like it's kind of flowing around a little bit. So I don't know if you can kind of see. I'm going to kind of come over here where I can go and just kind of show you how big this culvert is. Stepping my way through the twigs and the bugs. So it's not a very big culvert, as you can see that. I'm going to step right down here, and I am taller than this culvert, so I'm thinking that's like a 3-foot culvert. So I'm not sure, unless they replace the culvert, if we get a lot of rain like we did this year, it didn't wash out the culvert. So like I said, I'm not sure how much water that they think that we're going to get during our high flows, considering we had a really, really wet winter this last winter. So that's why I kind of question what's going on, what they're doing down the creek bed. Because if we could see the culvert here, I just don't understand why they're making the floodplain about 200 to 300 feet across. So that's just kind of why I question stuff and like what they're doing down there, because I just kind of don't understand. Sorry, there's a bug flying around me. I just don't understand their rhyme and reason for thinking that that floodplain is going to be 200 to 300 feet like what we can see down there. So anyways, and this is what it's looking like down the creek. So I'm going to pause it and we're going to head on down. So I'm just kind of showing you what this area looks like just below the culvert before we get into the work zone. You can see that there's some water down there. And then we're almost to the work zone where they're starting to work on the restoration. We're kind of looking into the sun, but right here's kind of about where it starts. And as we look down, and you'll see it in just a minute, right here's about where the wood pieces start. This is where it all starts. This says private property, no trespassing. I'm gonna pause it. I just got out of the car. So you can see that this is the area that I've recorded before, where all the wood debris is going on. And you can see up here where they've kind of started to widen out the creek. So that's what it's looking like from looking up towards where the culvert is, where we were just at. And it's not very deep right here. I'd probably say it's a couple inches deep. And you can see that they still have the barrier up there for the fish, but it looks like they're still working in this creek, I'm assuming, since all the machines are still here. So anyways, we're gonna continue on down the road. So I know I've gotten this spot before, but I just thought I'd stop really quick and just kind of show everybody what it's looking like. Looks like they've got some woody debris across the creek itself. That's kind of what that whole area is now looking like. Looks like they've got some dead pieces going across. And some more pieces going across. Looks like it's kind of pooling up right there. I'm not sure if it can go around it. It might. It's hard to tell from this perspective up here. But you can see all the sunken wooden pieces that they've got. Then they've also got that one that's partway in the creek bed. It looks like it can flow underneath right now. But like I said, if we get a little bit more water flow, I don't know how much. It might just cut out the bank on the other side. And then down here you can see that they've got that wood debris going kind of all the way across. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get some high flowing water, how it's going to divert around that. And then you can see that you've got a root wad there and another piece of wood across the creek. So part of me wants to think, just depending on how the flows go, that the water might make its own way around these wood pieces that they're putting in the creek to find an easier path. That's just common sense. There's a blockage in the water, you just divert yourself around it. So anyways, I'll back up here and see if I can see a little bit further down the creek, just to show you what it's kind of looking like from here. Like I said, it's just going to be interesting because you can see all these wood pieces in the creek itself. Common sense would tell you that if we do get higher flows, that the water's just going to cut itself around those wood pieces. But I guess we'll wait and see what kind of storms we get this winter. But that's what it's looking like from right here. We're going to pause and continue on down the road. So I was just looking at these pieces here in the creek that they've put in. It looks like they've added more to this area since we were here a couple weekends ago. I'm moving around the trees so you can see down. You can see in this little pond that they've actually put some wood pieces in it, which I'm not quite sure why. And then that is the creek. Looks like they've probably put some rocks in it as well. And you can see that there's some more woody debris going across as it makes its way down. The wind is really starting to pick up now. I'm going to get down underneath these branches so you can kind of see down there more. Like I said, common sense would tell you that water takes the path of least resistance. So if they're actually putting these woody debris in the creek bed itself and we do get some higher flows, then the water is going to divert itself around the wood pieces. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how this winter plays out. But that's what it's looking like from right here. Sounds like there's more cars coming. There's actually been quite a few cars up here today. So anyways, we're gonna pause it and head on down the road. So I'm still here on the road. The wind is picking up, so you can kind of see what it's looking like down there, what they're doing with all the woody debris. There's the excavators. And I'll zoom in so you can kind of see what they're doing down there. You can see some of the wood pieces sticking out near the creek bed. I got some of this from the other side. Between the smoke and the clouds, I'm losing my light. There's some more woody debris up there. Looks like there's more up there in the creek. My phone's not picking it up very well, so I think we'll go on up the road a little bit where hopefully we can see it better. I don't know why when I zoom in so much I kind of lose some of the color. But that's kind of what it's looking like right here. I'm gonna pause it and we'll head on up the road. So come down the road just a little bit. So we're right up above all the heavy equipment. I'm curious to see when they pull this out, if they're gonna pull it out before all the storms start, before winter starts. Not sure, maybe they'll be up here another month, don't know. But this is kind of what it's looking like right now. You can see all the sediment that they pulled up out of the bottom. And you can see up over on the other side of them all the woody debris that they're putting up over there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this winter when we start getting all of our storms. What all happens with all this woody debris that they're putting in. I don't know why. When I get past a certain point, it's not as clear. So anyways, that's what it's kind of looking like from here. Just for perspective, this is what it's looking like looking to the west. So I'm gonna pause it and we're gonna head on down the road. Before we head down the road, I figured I'd kind of zoom in on what this top section looks like. So you can see all the woody debris there. You can kind of see where they're putting it in amongst the greenery there. I can't tell what that is over there. It looks like they must be pulling water out of the creek. I can see hoses there and I can see a couple tanks. But I can't really tell what they're doing from here. But I thought that was interesting. Then you can continue to see all the woody debris that they still have along the bank there. You can see that one that they've got probably across the creek itself. And on up. So we're gonna pause it and head down the road. So we come up and around the corner. I'm kind of losing my light. Actually, I can start to smell the smoke blow in. But I thought I'd just kind of show you what it's looking like a little bit further down the creek. So it looks like they're doing stuff further down the creek as well. Not sure how much they're going to get done this winter before winter hits, but I guess we'll see. Looks like that's an area where they cross right there. definitely starting to pick up. Oh, here comes the dust. I'm gonna go get in the car. All right, I think I made it past that dust storm. I really don't want to be out here in it because I'm not sure how healthy it is. So if I don't have to be in it, I'm not going to. And that's looking up towards Copco. And how you guys can see how smoky it's getting, I'm assuming. I'm thinking that that's probably from the moon fire. So anyways, that's kind of what it's looking like up here today. I'm sure you can see with as much as my hair is blowing, it's getting pretty windy up here. Had to put my hair in a ponytail because of the wind. But anyways, that's my trip for this time. This is Beaver Creek. I'll definitely be coming up here quite frequently to check it out, see what work that they're doing. Obviously, if we start getting a lot of rain, I'm not going to come up here because this road gets pretty nasty, slimy with all the different type of the clay that it is. It's normally not a good road to be passing on during the winter time, but I will continue to come up here as much as I can. I think I'm going to call this good. We're going to go up to the Copco bridge and see if we can see anything from that bridge and call it a day.